Welcome to Bird Spray Sports, where we weekly cover Ravens and Orioles news. We're your hosts, TJ and Jared. And in this video, we're going to format it a little bit differently. I was super frustrated about the game and, the state of the Ravens. So we're going to be starting off with the stats first, and to, quickly get into this video. Let's just do it. Let's just, you know, bite the bad apple here and,
Yeah,
look at what we did.
and get the shit out of the way so we can just talk about this team. So you can go over
Yeah.
the offensive stats, and then I'll go over defense.
Yeah, so fortunately, Lamar had a very lethargic 17 to 32 for 246 yards, zero touchdowns, and one interception. He was sacked three times with a QBR of 22.2. And it's crazy because I think that's one of his worst QBRs, maybe since his, debut playoff wildcard game against the Chargers. Like, just outright atrocious. Going on to the rushing, Derrick Henry had 10 carries for 60 yards. He only had 10 carries. Wow. Lamar had six carries. Keaton Mitchell had two carries for 19 yards. So two carries for 19 yards. That's about like what, nine yards per rush.
Yeah, it's
And
nine and a
you
half.
only nine and a half, and you only give him the ball twice.
Yeah,
I
look
don't
look
know.
at this. Look at his longest run. Look what his longest run is.
You're 18 yards. Wow.
So his other rush got 1 yard.
Wow. We just got it. I don't know why we just don't give these guys the ball more. Like it's just, I don't know. But moving on to the receiving, Isaiah Likely had five receptions for 95 yards. Just when I think about him, I just think about that touchdown that he should have had, and he fumbled into the end zone. And we'll talk about that more, after this. But just a very, you know, I want to say just a very like this the stats that you see right here don't really show what the game, really how it really played out. Mark Andrews had four receptions for 47 yards. Recently just got a contract extension. Derrick Henry had one reception for 44 yards. I don't think I saw this one because I turned off the game at that point. D Hop had two receptions for 25 yards. Charlie Kohler had one reception for 17. Keaton Mitchell had two for 12. And Zay Flowers had two for six. Wow, there's a whole fumbles section.
Yeah,
This
we
looks
had five
loaded too.
turnovers. Lamar fumbled twice, and Travis Jones he forced a fumble and then recovered it. So anyways, in the defensive side, Roquan Smith led the way with 11 tackles. Marlon Humphrey had 9 total tackles. He had a sack, a tackle for loss, and two QB hits. Aloy Gilman had 8 total tackles. He had a pass deflection. Teddy Buchanan had 7 total tackles. Kyle Hamilton had 7 total tackles, a tackle for loss, and a pass deflection. Travis Jones had 6 total tackles, one tackle for loss, and a QB hit. Malachi Starks had 6 total tackles. Jadobi Uze had 5 total tackles. He had two pass deflections. He actually played pretty good this game. Mike Green had 5 total tackles. He had two QB hits as well, but he was getting dominated pretty much all game. John Jenkins had 3 total tackles and a tackle for loss. Nate Wiggins got hurt in the game, but had 2 total tackles and two passes defended, so he didn't even play in the second half. He apparently is going to be good to go on Sunday, surprisingly enough. KVN had 2 total tackles and a QB hit. Keandre Jackson had 2 total tackles. Brent Urban had a tackle, a QB hit, and Jackson had a tackle. So like that kind of tells you how the game went. But I guess reading off team stats,
Wow, we're 3-4 at home. That's embarrassing.
I actually wanted to talk about that too. But they Bengals converted 22 first downs to our 16. They had 11 passing, we had 7 passing. We each had 8 rushing. They had 3 from penalties and we had 1 from a penalty. They were 8 for 19 on third down, which is embarrassing. And we were 3 for 10. They were 1 for 2 on fourth down, and as were we. They ran 80 total plays, so we're at 57. Our total yardage is the Bengals had 382 total yards. We had 346. They had 12 total drives to our 13. Damn, so we would have drive more than them, and they still almost got 20 more well, they did get 20 more, I think, our plays than us. They averaged 4.8 yards per play. We averaged 6.1. They had 128 rushing yards on the ground. We had 123. They were 1 for 6 in the red zone, and we were 1 for 2. So I guess 50% is better than it has been, I guess. Um, we were six. They had 6 penalties for 35 yards. We had 7 for 53. They had
Mm,
1 turnover to our 5. They held the ball for 38 minutes and 46 seconds to our 21 minutes and 14 seconds. So, um, I guess we could just get and talk about this game after we just read off these stats. I don't know if you want me to lead off or you have some words to talk about here or just.
Yeah, I would like to lead off, and I would just like to say, you know, we can't keep, obviously, we can't keep going like this. But first of all, I want to give a shout out to the defense because the score doesn't show how the defense kept us in the game as much as possible until they finally just broke. I felt like in the first half, they did a pretty, besides Marlon Humphrey, they did a pretty good job of containing Jamar Chase, and just containing everything that the Bengals wanted to do. Obviously they wanted to get that Burrow to Chase connection, kind of sparked up again because it's been what almost 3 months since they've thrown the football to each other. And I want to give a shout out to the defense. They stopped that for as long as they could. They even stopped the Bengals from scoring a touchdown, going for it on 4th and goal. So I think that's very important, especially Nate Wiggins. He played a phenomenal first half as well until he got hurt. I want to give the defense a special shout out. But another thing that kind of concerned me is, okay, you had Joe Burrow. He had this sort of plate in his cleat, right? And he was still moving like he wasn't injured. And that's a problem because our pass rush didn't phase him at all. And it was kind of embarrassing because he's kind of semi-immobilized, but yet he still looked like how he did last year against us. So something has to give, right? And we clearly gave in. And I don't know, we kind of, moving forward, this season is a lost cause in terms of our pass rush. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know, Mike Green's pass rush moves did not work at all against Amarius Mims. It really hasn't worked at all this season. I would just be honest. We're really struggling without Matabike. We got to figure out how we're going to bring back Travis Jones, even if we can afford him now. This pass rush project for this season has failed. So we need to look at this and move forward next season and try to figure out how to get it back because it's been embarrassing.
Yeah.
And moving on to the offense, what's going on, man? I mean, it sucks. I bet Poly, the high school that we went to, can run better offenses than this and score points. I
I don't
mean,
know
I've
about that.
never seen the
That's
thing.
two
No,
dumbasses
no, no,
fighting.
no. I believe it. I believe it because I believe they'll be more disciplined. I mean, how can you be an NFL football team and be afraid of scoring points? Like, are we afraid of scoring points? I mean, I told you this, right? No, no hate to Isaiah Likely. Why does he have to hold the ball that way? He holds the ball like this instead of like this, right? Same thing with Derrick Henry at the beginning of the year. What is being taught to these guys? When he caught the ball, he's holding the ball like this, all out. There's no protection. It's just his hand, and then you wonder why he gets knocked out like that. Why? Do they think it looks cool or something? That's not fundamental football, and that's the thing. That's why we lose all of these big games. We don't get the fundamentals down. You can have all of these nice stats. You could be, oh, they're a leading rushing team. They're the team that scores the most points per game. We've been there, done that, all of that, right? But when it comes down to winning these games, we fail at the fundamentals, not turning the ball over. We don't win in the trenches. We don't do what we're supposed to do. And it comes down to fundamentals. We don't have that. That's something I gotta get off my chest. Another thing is, Lamar is clearly hurt, but even when he's hurt, he's not a game changer out there for us anymore. And I really hate to say that because I'd rather have him and Cooper Rush or maybe even Tyler Huntley. Big emphasis on maybe. But the way he played against the Bengals was just atrocious. Like it looked like I was watching like Carson Wentz or something. Like no pocket awareness. And I get it. You're playing in an offensive line that is incompetent. 77 can't block to save his life, no matter who he's going up against. It could be the 32nd ranked defensive line and pass rush unit, and he'll make him look like the first. But the things I'm seeing Lamar doing, the throws he's missing, it's just scary. It's like what's going on, And I see him, smiling and laughing on the sidelines, and it's just like in my head, it's like, what is there to smile about? I mean, we look like crap. The defense is bailing us out. They're the reason that we went on that what 5 game winning streak. The defense alone. The offense didn't do nothing. And I'm finally getting tired of it. I'm getting tired of the play calling from Munkin. I'm getting tired of the offensive performances. You know, it's kind of a double-edged sword when it comes to Zay Flowers because people are like, Zay doesn't show up. But also, we kind of don't give him opportunities. Like when we do use Zay, what is it, an end around, jet sweep, screen that our screens never work. you know, I mean, I feel like we could use him in different ways, but at the same time, he fumbles too much, right? He does too much with the football, trying to be Superman, and it never works out for him. So that's just some things I had to get off my chest about this game. I didn't watch all of it. I turned it off at halftime, because I knew what was going to happen at halftime. I knew we were going to lose, and sure enough, we did. I didn't expect us to lose by what 16 points, but it happened. So, that's really all I got to say. I know yours is going to be a lot more passionate and angry because you watched the full game. I don't know how you did it, but you know,
Nothing else to watch. But
I'm handing the ball off to you, man. What's up?
I fumbled. I'm a fit on the Ravens. But yeah. I mean, I think we had three fumbles, four fumbles on the day. Sorry, I dropped my pen, so I literally did fumble. But
That was staged. I like that. That was
actually it
probably
wasn't.
staged.
I actually dropped it. I'm like, I fit right fucking in the Ravens. But you know. These type of games are weird just because like it feels like rewatch. It feels like we're in this endless loop or in this almost like a purgatory of rewatching the AFC Championship game again. Where it's you're driving on the field and then like then you do get Lamar gets sacked or Lamar fumbles or Lamar throws a pick or somebody on the other on the team fumbles, or it's just something stupid happens, and the growing frustration happens throughout the game between the fans and then the players, and then it just kind of boils into this mess at the end of the game. And I, the Ravens mentally are a mature team at points, but they've been, I mean, over that 5 game stretch, they had to be really mature, or was it five or six? No, it was 5 games. They won 5 games in a row.
5 games. Yeah.
Like especially in that Browns game. I mean, this could have easily been like the Browns game
Yeah.
where we won sloppy, but it wasn't like the Browns game. I mean, also because we didn't face, Dylan Gabriel and company. It was Joe Burrow over there. But I mean, I say this I think every time we lose, the way we lose is kind of the same. We get bullied in the trenches. We're not causing turnovers. We're getting, the ball, we're turning the ball over. It's just that's what it has become, with this team. And what's frustrating is, I hear a lot of people, they're always saying like, okay, well, hopefully we can learn from this. Hopefully we can learn from this. Hopefully we can learn from that. And it's like listening into the same, garbage over and over again. And it's like, we've been saying, hopefully we can learn from this for forever at this point. I feel like me and you, like we haven't had a channel for all the years we've been Ravens fans, but the years that me and you like have known each other, it feels like, man, in games you lost, why didn't we run the ball a little bit more? Like especially, like I said, like in the AFC Championship game, we ran the ball like 8 times in that game. I think that right there, was such an interesting, turning point in a negative direction for this franchise, just because that game could have really been the ultimate learning lesson for this franchise and how unfit this coaching staff is for this certain squad. And I feel like as Harbaugh goes, longer with this team, the more detrimental it is to our chances of winning a Super Bowl. You know, Someone proved a good point in the video. It was a video that I was watching. I forgot who it was. I was watching it the other day, but that Harbaugh's coaching techniques are just old now. They're just old. And then, we always, every time you watch Ravens Wired, it's always in a win, but it's, Harbaugh will go over there and say, oh, after a good play, like let's say Lamar makes a cool play or Zay does or Henry's, going in there, good play, good play, good play. But, when something bad happens, what do we see? We see him with that stupid shocked look on his face. He looks confused. He looks frustrated. He may complain to the officials, but that's about it. We don't ever see him like go to the guys and be like, we need to lock in, or we need to do this. Like, oh, Lamar, you're the best player in the game right now. Go ahead and focus and lock in for the rest of the game. We never see that at all. Like, it may happen, but we don't know that it happens. He doesn't say that it happens. Like, so does that happen? Does he just go to the guys and be like, all right, like we're struggling right now. That's okay. There's plenty of time left in this game because it feels like with the Ravens, there's a nexus point to the beginning of the end for a certain game. And you know what's crazy? It doesn't always happen in the fourth quarter. It could happen in the second quarter. It could be a turnover. It could be a penalty that called that prevented a touchdown, and then we don't score, and then we only score like once more in the rest of the game. It's like there are these beginning, it's like they see their losses throughout the game, and it's usually something really stupid at the beginning. And when Isaiah likely fumbled, like I like my heart dropped to my stomach because it's like they're not going to recover from this, are they? Like they're not going to recover from this. They're not mentally mature enough to recover from just a one little mistake in the second quarter. Because then they turn the game plan on where it's let's just air the fucking ball out instead of running the ball. For as much as this team wants, because what does Harbaugh go up there and say? He says we want to be able to run the ball, we want to be able to stop the run. Well, they couldn't stop the run on Thursday, really. I mean, they ran for almost 130 on you, and then you could run the ball and you didn't run the ball. And I can't even lie, I'm really getting tired of saying this. I'm really getting tired of saying, why didn't we run the ball more? Why didn't we run the ball more? Like in these games right here, this is like the AFC Championship game. This isn't like the AFC Championship game, but it's like that AFC Championship game where it's like you had a little bit of success running the ball, and then all of a sudden you just thought the game was going to be this massive shootout, which it was not. Your defense was getting stops. They were bending a little bit more than they have been the past few weeks, but they were still getting stops, and they got, like you said, that crucial fourth and goal stop that negated the Lamar fumble. We got the ball right there, and that didn't turn out to be great either. But still, we stopped them from scoring. We held them to field goals all in the first half. It was 12-7 going in the half. And then
Yeah.
guess who got the ball first? Us. Why is it when we get the ball first coming out of half, it seems like we just go three and out when we need a score? I mean, look at Buffalo this weekend when they play Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has a shit defense this year, and they can't stop the run. They couldn't stop James Cook on Sunday. The Steelers were winning. What was it? Was it 7-3?
7-3. Yep.
It was 7-3 coming in at half. I guess it's a little bit different comparison, but because the Bills didn't get the ball coming at a half, but the Bills' offense just changed the rest of the way. They seemed to flow a little bit better. They were running the ball a little bit more. They were getting Allen in short yardage situations so that he can convert first downs. They just knew what they needed to do to win the game. It feels like the Ravens just don't know what to do in these type of games where it starts off really bad because it started really bad for the Bills. I mean, you're going into halftime with 3 points. We're going into halftime with 7 points. How are you telling me that we score one more time the rest of the game? Like that is against one of the worst defenses of all time. I mean, this is one of the worst defenses of all time. I know that they've gotten a little bit better, but that I don't know, man. I mean,
Terrible.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm at a loss for words at this point. I don't even want to be yelling and screaming anymore because there's no point. Because me yelling and screaming on this channel, cursing and whatever, that does nothing for anything. Because they are gonna come in and do the same thing. They'll probably lose Sunday, and I'll spoil that. I predict the Ravens to lose on Sunday just because they don't learn. They don't learn from anything, especially offensively. They just don't learn, how to maneuver or as soon as the slightest bit of adversity comes in these type of games, they just flounder. The whole team. And people are going to put it all on Lamar Jackson. Look, Lamar Jackson's hurt. Let's just put it out there. People want to sit here and trash him and saying he's garbage and that he's out of his peak. He's just hurt. Like, why is that hard to grasp for people? Like, why is he the only quarterback that can't get hurt? Why is he the only quarterback that can't miss time? Why is he the only quarterback that is hurt and can't miss throws? Like, yeah, I agree he played bad, but people make that a point to talk about. Like, it feels like they emphasize that 1,000 times when they're talking about Lamar Jackson right now. He's like, yeah, he's playing bad. I'm saying he's playing bad. You're like, do you enjoy saying that he's playing bad? Like, we can sit here and say he's playing bad and be over with it. That's what it is. He's just not playing great. He's hurt at the same token. Well, when you say he's hurt, what are they going to say? You're making an excuse for him. No, context is not excuses. It's the reason why a certain thing is happening in this game. So, and that stems from what? Having a shit ass offensive line. Now he has this ankle injury, that I guess he got in the Bengals game. I don't know if he got it in the Bengals game or if he's had the ankle injury or whatever, but like people like to say that they built this offense around Lamar Jackson. That is technically the truth, but they built it around one half of Lamar Jackson, not Lamar Jackson 100%. When he can't get out of the sacks that, they're letting guys come through the offensive line is going to look really bad. And the offensive line is looking really bad this year. But if 2024 Lamar's back there, they might be graded higher on PFF. I mean, I think there was a point in the game where the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line, one of the worst in the league, they all had like 90 grades on PFF. And then they had the nerve to honor the 2000 Super Bowl on Sunday. It's like that team is built on what? The fucking trenches.
Yep.
And you're gonna have the nerve to have them honored at this year's team just because it's the 30th anniversary or whatever the hell it is. If I was EDC, I'm probably looking at that. I mean, like all the guys who are gonna walk through the tunnel that built this franchise and be like, damn, like we don't have that. Obviously, we have Mads, and Stanley is good. He's a good on the offensive line or whatever. But you know, I don't know what's going on with Matabike. It really sucked not having him just because he owned those two games last year versus the Bengals. He had that one play in the fourth quarter in the first game that it sent the game to overtime, and then he was like, I think it was a sack on Burrow, and then he had like 3 or 4 sacks on the Thursday night game versus them last year. So it really sucked not having him. So I can't really fault DDC for that. It's not like he knew Matabike was going to get hurt. But, you know, why was Clowney a free agent for the first few weeks, knowing after that performance in Buffalo? I mean, we got no pressure on Josh Allen in week one. He had all day to throw the ball. And and then we let Keon Coleman's bum ass, Mr. Cookie Man, get freaking 200 yards on us or whatever it was. Like, at that point, I'm calling him Clowney the next day. Like, hey, like, like, what do you want? Like, we'll give you whatever to come back. I feel like me and you came on here and said the same thing. We're like, we want Clowney back at this
Yep.
point. Because now you're relying on an old ass Kyle Van Noy, a rookie in Mike Green, and Odafe always not even on the team anymore. So, I mean, the trenches are fried now because guess who's a free agent after this year? Travis Jones.
Travis.
Guess who's a free agent on the offensive side? Tyler Linderbaum.
Yep.
You've put yourself in a really shitty position right now to be able to. And look, I'll be honest, like it really sucks because Lamar had 5 years on a rookie contract, and what did you do in those 5 years? You didn't maximize that opportunity. When you have a rookie contract, look what the Patriots did for Drake May. He's on a rookie contract. He's not making a whole shit ton of money. They went to go get him a weapon, Stephon Diggs. They spent draft capital on Will Campbell. I believe that's his name. I believe they brought in Morgan Moses too, if I'm not mistaken. They brought in things that protect him and for him to throw to. You didn't like how many times did we hear, oh, they almost traded for DeAndre Hopkins. Oh, they
Yeah.
almost traded for Stephon Diggs, whatever. I'm sorry. I can understand maybe the DeAndre Hopkins one just because that was an AFC team. But what about Stephon Diggs? He was on the Vikings. It's not like he played for the Steelers or something.
And he's from here. He probably
Exactly.
wanted to play for the Ravens.
Exactly. So it's just you didn't maximize those first 5 years in Lamar's deal, and then now you have to penny pinch. And now you have to choose where to be cheap at, and
Yeah.
why is the offensive line? Why?
Yeah.
And then you're going to go ahead and resign a 30-year-old tight end who has how many playoff career touchdowns to a 3-year contract?
Yeah. And I wanted to say I was surprised by that because, obviously we mentioned, I know Isaiah Likely, he's been having kind of a nightmare season, but there's not much longevity with Mark Andrews, and he's clearly just not the same player. I thought it would be smarter to take a chance on Likely. And like how you said, nobody expected the Ravens to re-sign Mark, right? So we re-signed him. That's money taken away from
Right.
potentially putting a contract together for Linderbaum or Travis Jones. They're saying Travis Jones is going to be the top nose tackle free agent. He's going to get a bag. Can the Ravens give that bag to him? I
I
mean,
mean,
they
they
still have to
need to at this
restructure
point.
Lamar.
They
They
need
still,
to.
they still got to
They
restructure
what
Lamar.
they need. I don't think they need to restructure Lamar. They need to extend Lamar
That's what I mean.
because
Extend him.
I think if they restructure him, that money is just gonna
I'm
be
I'm talking about
nuts.
Madden terms here. I mean, extend Lamar.
Madden don't know how to do the
Yeah,
contract.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Let's
I don't either.
extend him.
You know, I'm not a salary cap guru here, but we'd have to get somebody on here or something that knows about that. But what I do know is they need to extend Lamar
Yeah,
so that they can free up a bunch of money. Apparently, we have the 11th most cap space going into next year.
we're not going to do nothing with that, bro.
I think they said it's like at 40 something million that actually is going to wind up becoming 28 million. So if you extend Lamar, you're going to have 60 something million dollars possibly in cap space. There's a lot of void contracts that they have, like, oh, they're still paying like Odell Beckham, they're paying like Justin Tucker, they're paying Nelson Aguilar, they're paying a whole bunch of guys, but I don't I don't know. Like, I hope that they can figure it out, but I, history says otherwise. I mean,
Yeah,
if they can't invest in the trenches, look, if they come in next year and our trenches look worse, then when we ever redo our prediction video, I'm not going to be surprised if we go 8-9. I mean,
yeah.
Lamar's going to win you games no matter what. If he can find a way to stay healthy all year, he's going to win you games. But he ain't going to be MVP anymore. I'll tell you that. He's not going to be MVP.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, after the way they've went, like I said, since 2023, why are they going backwards? You were this close to the Super Bowl. Why are you going backwards? Like, I hated that answer from EDC when he said he wanted to go younger at the offensive line. You're lying. You wanted to go cheaper because you knew you had to go cheaper somewhere. Why didn't you go cheaper somewhere else? Like, you value safeties and you value linebackers and you value tight ends. Great. It's not gonna fucking matter if players can't get sacks. It's not gonna matter if they can't get the ball because your offensive line is getting ran through every freaking play. Why are you valuing stupid positions? And then it's even crazier is you're valuing positions with extensions with shit you can draft. You can draft linebackers. You've been able to do that. You can draft safeties. You've been able to do that. You can draft tight ends. You've really been able to do that. Oh, but let's draft wide receivers. We're great at that.
And you draft small ones at that. You draft ones that don't fit the archetype of what you're wanting to look for. If you're wanting to look for a guy like D Hop that has reliable hands, he's not even a big body at that.
No,
Draft what you need. We're so
exactly.
in love with the Marquise Browns and the Rashad Batemans and the Zay Flowers of the world. You know, I don't get it. You
I mean,
know,
that is fine. But like you said, if it's a wide receiver too,
yep,
wide receiver one needs to be a guy who can do it all almost.
yeah,
He can be the guy, who catches slant. He can be the guy that's just gonna outmuscle a cornerback for a ball, like how DeAndre Hopkins did on Thursday. He can be a guy that can even stretch the field and be like, we need a big play, we need it now. I'm gonna run down this bitch and I'm gonna catch it. That has the speed, that has the strength. Now, there's not a lot of wide receivers like that, just because, of course, I mean, if there was, everybody'd have one. The Ravens still find a way wouldn't have one, even if everyone got one. But trade for one then. If you can't scout and draft one, just trade for one.
yeah.
AJ Brown seems to me like he wants to get out of Philly, possibly.
Me and you've been talking about that potential trade a lot. He would be
Right.
exactly like how Anquan Bolden was for us. A big body guy that wants the ball and can do it all.
Yeah, but then I'd feel like that'd be redundant now because it's like, wait, not redundant, but like, counterintuitive maybe because, all right, you can get AJ Brown, but what about the line?
Yeah,
So it's like, where are you going
yeah.
to invest in now? I mean, this needs to be a great offseason for EDC because if not, then
His job
it's
could
going to
be
be
on the
another
line.
year like this.
I want to say if he doesn't fix his mistakes, he should be on the hot seat. He should be on the hot seat, and his job should be on the line because he wasn't mentored for this. I feel like he wasn't mentored for this. He wasn't brought up for this. You
I
don't
think it
go
was.
cheap. You don't go cheap at a position like this, though, bro. You have
Well,
a
I mean,
franchise quarterback, though. Listen, you
yeah.
have a franchise quarterback who is generational. Joe Flacco wasn't generational. He inherited generational talent, right? Lamar Jackson himself is a generational talent. You have to do whatever it takes to put together the best possible players around him. And EDC hasn't done that. And
I
Lamar
want to
Jackson's
just.
first full season, Willie Snead, Steph Roberts, Miles Boykin, those are trash draft picks. And old Odell Beckham, and luckily he was still good for us. That is like that's fool's gold. That is digging in one man's trash and trying to find treasure. That's like if I go over to your house and try to dig in your trash and find something that I think is valuable. What am I doing? When I could go to Best Buy and go to the mall and actually try to get something. EDC is cheap, like how you said, and he needs to stop doing that.
I
At
would
least have
say.
one big splurge. At least have one splurge.
I would say that he was mentored for this because look at what Ozzy did for Flacco after he got his money.
Well,
Nothing. I mean, he did nothing for him.
that is
Joe
true.
Flacco got ran into the ground. I mean, our line sucked. Our receivers, we had like Michael Campanero as our wide receiver two 1 year. Like, I mean, yeah, he got Steve Smith, but like even that, how old was he then? Like that was a fucking that was a risk in itself. They signed him to a 2 year contract, I think. What, Steve Smith was like 35?
Yeah, we had Steve Smith. We had Tandon Doss. I
I
think he was
can't
one of our wide receiver
I
ones at
can't
one
wait to
point.
get Justin Jefferson in 2040, and then, Jeremiah Smith in 2050. Like this meant the way the Ravens are doing it is just it's not working. And even like with Odell Beckham, he was an older receiver, but the 1 year, it's not a coincidence to me. It really isn't. The 1 year you pay just maybe a little bit too much for a receiver. Look what you do.
Yep.
You win the AFC Championship game. Not saying you should have brought him back, but I'd have been like, shit, man. Like, is Zay really wide receiver one? Like they do that all the time. Like this is just the Baltimore Ravens way. It's pathetic. And they've only built around one side of Lamar's skill sets. And you know what's even crazy? I don't even know how you could consider that building around Lamar Jackson because it's like they're not protecting him. And funny enough, I would say actually that the offensive line played a decent game on Thursday. Well, below average, I should say. They weren't atrocious like they have been, but there's no trust now with Lamar on the line. There's no trust with Derrick Henry on the line. That's what you need first before you have the skill and talent out there. Your teammates need to trust each other. As much as Lamar's going to fight and ride for his guys, the on the field play speaks volumes to me.
Yep.
And his players let him down more than a lot of people want to say. People are would probably call me a Lamar fan, a Lamar homer, or whatever, but it's just the truth. I judge Lamar fairly. If he's playing bad, I'll say he's playing bad. But for instance, in Buffalo, two stupid turnovers. Now, really, the Bateman one, I would say that was like, why do him and Bateman always have miscommunication? And they have it at the worst times too. And then that shitty snap from Linderbaum. But like I said, you say stuff like that with context. What are they gonna say? You're making excuses when it's not. I mean, that drive from Lamar in Buffalo in January was magnificent. On the final drive, that was magnificent.
Yep. Methodical. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but and then you have your 2 point conversion play go to Andrews. Like the best 2 point conversion play I've seen from Andrews was versus the Colts in 2021. When Lamar faked, he was gonna run it, stopped, and Andrews is wide open over the middle.
I
Run
mean, but
that
like,
shit.
I'm sorry. I just want to say this. I get what you're saying. I get where you're going with that, but why not? I mean, he's supposed to catch it, right? He's supposed to do his job and catch it. So just as anybody on the field should do.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
why
no,
not
I
him?
definitely agree. But I'm just saying, with how shaky his hands were in that game, that the play of the
Yeah,
year should not
true.
go to him.
Yeah, so-
I understand that he should catch it. He should. Yeah, and now he's paid highly. He's been paid highly. He should catch the damn ball. But if I'm the offensive coordinator, I'm like, that's the last person I'm going to. I'd throw it to a fucking fan at that point. I'd rather Lamar throw it away than throw it to him. Like that's how
I
bad
would
it
agree.
was. Like Huntley. Right? Huntley probably would have did that shit or sailed it. But like, look, with likely caught the touchdown, I would have been saying like, all right, that plays switch my Andrews for likely.
Yeah.
I'd have had it going to Bateman. I mean, I don't know if he was playing that drive. I think he came
He
back.
was injured.
But look at that. Lamar had that drive again with what? Steven Adams or whatever the guy's name is, or whatever that guy. I don't even know what his name was. Steven
Oh,
Sims.
Steven Sims. I was like, Steve, I wish he had Steven Adams from the Rockets on that
Uh,
drive.
he had Bateman. He didn't have Bateman out there. Oh my God, he really had nobody out there in that drive.
Yeah,
Fucking
Anthony Miller.
Andrews.
Anthony Miller, Steven Sims,
Oh man,
likely Andrews,
man, where was Tez? Um,
and Tylen Wallace.
he almost fumbled that drive too, by the way. He actually did. They counted that as a fumble, um, but even if we made the playoffs, man, it might get ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, unless
I,
we play like the Colts or something. But
yeah, and I low key think that's a good place to stop this video at. Just we want to see the Ravens start to produce. I don't know. I don't know. You don't want to see that. You just want to see this season be over, and we
yeah,
start a new chapter next year. But
yeah, we do have to
still,
close the video out. The Zoom is about to end.
okay, yeah. So we'll just end it there. Just our quick thoughts about the Ravens in general and Bengals game, and you know, please let us know what you guys think in the comments down below. What did you think about the game? What do you think about what's going on in the organization? Also, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Follow our social medias on Instagram, our TikTok, and our Twitter. And also check out our second channel, Casual Cinema. We're going to see the avatar soon, so we'll have that out. And that's all we got for you guys today with Birds Play Sports, and we're out.
All right.